want to thank the Legal Aid Foundation for the great privilege of being here tonight and for your conferring on me this Access to Justice Award. I've been greatly encouraged and inspired by this setting and by this dinner, and I know it's a major fundraising affair for the Legal Aid Foundation, but you've done a magnificent job in lifting up what this foundation represents for law, for equality and justice, for multitudes of people who do not have a chance and need support and encouragement. And I guess what then I'd like to simply suggest that in this time, the profession of law, the vocation of law and doing justice is more desperately needed than ever before in the United States. Our Constitution says, we, the people of the United States of America, in order to, and then I'll skip a few words, in order to establish justice. I know that some judges and some Supreme Court people pretend that the Constitution excludes its preamble, excludes those great words, more perfect union, common welfare, liberty, justice, common defense. But I happen to think that the founding writers of that document, the first in human history, to the best of my knowledge, put those great words there in order for we, the people of the USA, to dream, to imagine, to envision a day and a future, indeed, when, in fact, human history would emulate the great gift of creation, the great gift of life itself, where human societies would breathe not only freedom, but structures of opportunity and access that would embrace every boy and girl, every man and woman, no matter their complexion, their creed, their country, their birth, their status, simply because they were a part and are a part of the magnificent gift of life itself. For the causes of truth and justice. From my perspective, authentic religion is only a religion in which we keep our sight on all our neighbors, especially the neighbors who, for whatever the circumstances, do not have access to the gift of life itself. So the law profession, as never before, needs today to give our nation a new burst. The movement of which I was a part, 1953 to 1973, caused the Supreme Court to declare that the Constitution was inclusive of all the residents of the United States. I watched those struggles in the court and heard those decisions. But the forces of resistance to letting the Constitution become our vision and our reality are today in larger control than ever before. Law must help us gain, in the 21st century, those tools by which we can push against those who do not want a constitution and who disobey it and who do not want law, though they spit out all the time that we are a nation of law. We have never been a nation of law, from my perspective. In the last 50 or 60 or 70 years, we have engaged in a struggle to become a people at every level of life that indeed abides by a fundamental, essential decency for all humankind. Then the other thing I want to say, and I do not want to muff my words if I can. What some of us tried to do in creating what I call the Rosa Parks Martin Luther King nonviolent movement in America, that must be repeated in the 21st century. Not word for word or structure for structure or campaign for campaign or march for march or civil disobedience for civil disobedience, not in that sense. But I maintain that the struggle we're currently going through needs the cathartic, passionate transformation, social and otherwise, that such a movement brought us in the 20th century. All of the work that you do is critical work. All the work that many such organizations as never before are doing in almost every community today. Critical work that the society has failed to do, but your work does, and therefore helps us one day to come to a day when every government will be doing that work for every person all across our land. But the task of dismantling the wrong, dismantling the poverty, dismantling the racism, dismantling the male chauvinism, the sexism, dismantling the spirit of violence, dismantling plantation capitalism in the United States. That task needs your work, but it also needs people who one day will cause a movement of struggle and truth to cross this nation in a fashion that will enable the nation indeed to become we, the people of the United States of America. I thank the Legal Aid Foundation. I congratulate you for the 90 years. I am more excited than ever before because you're 90 years of age. I'm 90 years of age. And I want to just simply wish LAFLA another 90 years of setting a pace, of lifting those who need lifted, and spreading the power and the passion of truth and wonder and justice. Jim Sandman took away the quote I would have used. That is in the book of Deuteronomy. Moses, summarizing his life and his work, said, "Justice, and only justice, you must pursue. And may God speed the Legal Aid Foundation in doing that great work."